So before we show you how to build a sneaker of your own, we wanted to share a little bit of the science behind them and how they work. And we're going to start with something called biomechanics. See, if you want to have any business or qualifications actually making sneakers, you better understand the science and the habits behind walking, running, and the other things we use shoes for. See, biomechanics is the study of how the human body moves and interacts, and it's important to understand that stuff and the pressure points on the different parts of the feet so you know where to add support so it doesn't wear fast and provides the most cushion and that kind of stuff. But there's no need to be intimidated. This is all figured out through a really long and rigorous research and development or prototyping process. If you're really curious, pause this video and check out a typical research and design timeline in the fashion industry. Next up, we wanted to talk about the actual materials used in a pair of shoes. And I don't know if you've noticed, but outside of something like Crocs, there's typically more than one different material used in a single pair of shoes, and there's lots of science behind that. Take a look at this pair of Air Maxes. Look at all the different materials. I see rubber, knit, foam, cloth, among a couple other things. And look at this close-up version of some of the fabric involved in running shoes. And now you might start to be able to see why designing sneakers takes whole teams of super smart people with all different types of talents coming together to produce something beautiful like that. If you are interested in working in this topic or industry, specifically in the design stages, you would get to work on some awesome 3D rendering softwares to bring these ideas to life, specifically in that beginning stage of the research and design process we mentioned just a few seconds ago. And to wrap up this topic, for each different material, engineers and designers need to evaluate the different properties like breathability, durability, flexibility, weight, among some other things, and make a decision for each specific need and what might be best. And behind every single decision, there's some complicated engineering calculations that go into help making it. It's truly a science, friends. And oftentimes, engineers need to go through what's called the engineering design process, and it might involve trade-offs. If you want more durability, you might get less breathability. So they need to weigh those decisions. So moving on, but still related to the topic of materials, we wanted to circle back to the topic of sustainability. But before we share too much, can you quickly pause this video and brainstorm or share any ideas on how the materials or processes used in shoes or fashion are not exactly good for the environment? Exactly, you may have mentioned some of these things, but what ends up happening more often than not is these companies opt for cheap materials that end up in landfills or oceans. And the process in general takes lots of water and resources to produce the final product. For example, the process of tanning leather produces up to 200 times more waste than total product output. To put that in perspective, if you got 1,000 pounds of leather ready to go and be printed into shoes, it could waste up to 200,000 pounds of water, chemicals, and other byproducts. But I did say more often than not, there are some awesome organizations and companies and initiatives that are using reusable and sustainable materials to make their products, which we have to commend and support. The buzzword there is biodegradable. Ever heard of it? Like we just mentioned, the problem is most of the time this material is ending up in landfills and oceans and just sitting there. Biodegradable materials, however, are often made of plant-based materials, and they actually break down slowly over time. To put a bow on that conversation though, and to put those numbers in perspective, a study published in the Journal of Industrial Ecology found that extending the lifespan of clothing by an extra 9 months could reduce carbon, water, and waste footprints by 20 to 30%. And it does make sense if you think about it. If they build materials that last longer and are more durable, and we as consumers keep them longer, then we need less, and less ends up in the trash. Finally, something to keep on your radar is technology in footwear, kind of like we mentioned in the first video. See, very soon we're going to start seeing the integration of sensors, accelerometers, and other electronic components into shoes to gather data on movement, pressure points, and biomechanics. These are really small devices and are typically battery powered to do their job and hopefully help improve our lives in some way, shape, or form. In case you want to do some experimenting on that topic yourself, if you have something like a microbit processor, that opens up all kinds of doors for you to really extend this project and get even more out of it. If you are planning on taking on that challenge, just like with every Sticks project, we want you to be creative and innovative and think of all kinds of different applications. Maybe brainstorm with a classmate. However, we did think of a few applications for you. You could program it to light up some LEDs to decorate your shoes to really stand out. Maybe you could get it to count your steps to track your fitness goals. Through the use of data from the accelerometer, you could also try to measure and improve your athletic ability through movements like the broad jump and long jump and vertical jump. Thanks for your time, everyone. We'll see you in the next video where we're going to show you how to put this into practice and make a sneaker yourself.